everybody knows it ain't good to be stressed. Everybody knows as at least of 2024 that, guys, we want to optimize our gut health for a wide array of reasons. But do you know exactly how being stressed affects your gut health and hence your immune function, your healthy bacteria in your gut? How does this kind of happen? It's so complicated and we really just don't fully understand it. But recent research gave us a little more understanding, and it's very, very fascinating how this connection happens. This is more of an educational video. It's just super cool, and I want to share this with you guys, especially if you're stressed. Here's another reason not to be stressed, babe. We'll talk about how to reduce stress at the end, right? It's pretty much exercise and sleep and mindfulness techniques, right? Be thankful and, be happy as much as you can. Be present, right? So there you go. That's that. But they did a study recently on 1,000 mice where they affected a portion of the brain called the amygdala. The amygdala processes emotions, okay? Majorly fear and stress. Now, also things like memory, but we're talking about emotions here. And what they did was they deactivated this portion of the brain. They disrupted, we could say, the central nucleus of the amygdala, some part of it that's responsible for processing these emotions. Now, the amygdala sends signals to your gut. And how? Through what we call the vagus nerve. And we've talked about the vagus nerve, and we've said increasing vagal tone or vagus nerve activity will help to relax you because it accounts for 75% of our parasympathetic nervous system activity. Parasympathetic, rest, digest. And if you want to quickly activate your vagus nerve, you can just take a big breath in. Breathe out really slow. And you're relaxed. That's one way to do it. There are a few other ways to do it, but that definitely works. Breathe out longer than you breathe in, right? So now, aside from relaxing you, it does the vagus nerve, visceral organ function, or the function of so many different organs in our body, right? It regulates heart rate and blood pressure indirectly, and respiratory rate, and digestion, and so many things. So we have this connection from the amygdala that goes through the vagus nerve, and it goes down, now when we're talking about stress, to your small intestine, to these glands called Brunner's glands. They're named after Johann Conrad Brunner, a Swiss anatomist, if you guys were curious about a little history there. And these Brunner's glands, or you could say Brunner's glands, doesn't really matter how you pronounce it, the name doesn't matter either, they produce mucus, right? And so they produce this mucus that we had previously thought was being produced to counteract the acidity in the stomach, because they're located in the duodenum, or the first portion, or the portion of the digestive tract, or small intestine, we could say, that just follows the stomach, right? So food goes through the stomach and it goes right into the duodenum here. And these little Brunner's glands are located in there, and they're producing mucus. So what's the deal with this mucus? We thought that it was to counteract the acidity from the stomach, but now we know a lot more. Very fascinatingly, they found that when it produces this mucus, it exerts a protective effect on our digestive tract, on our small intestine, and it prevents the leaking of contents or increased intestinal permeability, we could say, of toxins and bacteria and all these things from the inside of our digestive tract. I'm talking slow because I want you guys to get it. Through the wall of our GI tract, or through the wall of the small intestine, right? You have food going through it, and then it can go through and go into these blood vessels, and they go all over in the body. And it gives your body all the nutrition from your digestive tract, right? It's really simply how that happens when you eat something, and then, it gets distributed throughout your body. And so they can reduce this excessive flow of things through that membrane, if you will, by having nice, thick, healthy layers of mucus that they're producing. Now, the mucus doesn't only do that, but it also supports the production of good bacteria, very, very fascinatingly. So we're talking about mucus affecting levels of beneficial bacteria in our gut, independent totally of things like probiotics or eating fermented foods or fiber, things we always talk about for the gut. And so when you're stressed, what happens is, and this is what they did in this trial, is there's disruption of the amygdala there. That disruption travels down the vagus nerve to these Brunner's glands, and it makes it stop producing mucus, or produce a lot less. Then what happens is now, instead of a nice thick healthy layer of mucus lining the inside of your small intestine, you have this thin layer of mucus, and stuff that's not good can leak through the wall of your small intestine and get into your bloodstream. And that's just something that could increase inflammation and lower your immune function, right? It's something that could cause the buildup of toxins in the body, and that's really bad. But also will lower the production of these good bacteria, and it will actually make a more beneficial environment for bad bacteria. So when they disrupted the amygdala with stress, it indirectly caused these Brunner glands to reduce mucus production, and it increased the number of harmful bacteria, very fascinatingly. Now, conversely, when they activated either this central nucleus of the amygdala or the vagus nerve, just downstream, right, if we're going this way, in the signaling pathway, you could say here, then, they had the production of more good bacteria because of the Brunner glands producing more mucus. And so it's really fascinating. And aside from that, this was in itself really cool. When they destroyed the Brunner's glands, or they, deactivated them, or they disrupted them, or even removed them in these mice, and they gave them probiotics, it still promoted the production of mucus and more bacteria. So what? They don't even have these things that are producing mucus, but you gave them the good bacteria. And so that just shows how complicated it really is. But it does tell us a lot more than we knew in the past, and how that stress acts on your gut to reduce your immune function and reduce the production of beneficial bacteria that control what. So now we'll say you have proper Brunner's gland function, right? Your vagus nerve is stimulated, you're relaxed, right? That amygdala is not going crazy. And so we're producing these beneficial bacteria, or at least creating an environment, a healthy environment, a less hostile environment for these beneficial bacteria to thrive, right? And divide. And so what happens now when we have these bacteria? Well, why, do they then affect, things like immune function and mood? So yeah, the stress caused that, but is there a pathway going back? There absolutely is. And when these bacteria, as we've said, eat fiber, and they use antioxidants to assist the reactions that are required to break down the fiber, which is eaten up by the bacteria again, and then they produce these things called SCFAs, short-chain fatty acids, like butyrate or acetate or caproic acid, valeric acid. Propionate is another one. 8 just means acid, right? And so the names of those obviously don't matter, but we study our shit here at One Wellness, so y'all know, and we love it. What they do is they affect levels of serotonin in your brain. They signal back to your brain, and they affect levels of serotonin. That's your happy hormone / neurotransmitter, your happy brain chemical, your happy body chemical, right? And 90% of that is produced in the gut by these SCFAs as a byproduct of having a healthy gut microbiome, a lot of gut bacteria, Brunner's glands being active, producing this mucus, right? Now, not only do they promote the production of serotonin, but also BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor. And this is something that, in simple, means brain cell production. And it's also associated with mood. I mean, if you have more brain cell production, well, it's probably going to be a good thing. You can think a little bit better. You can think a little more clearly, and you're probably going to feel better, much of the time. And so it's not as simple as just the serotonin, right? It's producing BDNF as well, or these gut bacteria. They're producing it. And many other things that control your mood. So that is the way the pathway goes there and back. And it's just so cool. So the next time you're sitting there and you're really worried about something and you're stressed, take a deep breath. Make sure you breathe out. Exhale longer than you breathed in, than you inhaled. Relax yourself and realize that you are helping your gut. And when you're helping your gut, you're helping your mood, and you're helping your immune function, and you're helping appetite regulation, rates of fat storage, and muscle growth, and so much more. So that's what we got for you guys. Hope you thought it was pretty cool. It is. it's so, Ben, it's so true, man. You know, I mean, we create these situations that are stressful in our own mind. It's all in your own mind. It's about how you perceive the world around you. And I could stand here today and I could worry about all the other things that I have to do. Or I could enjoy this moment as I am. And I'm only here. I'm nowhere else. And if you're always right there, you can just take care of what's in front of you. You take care of what's in front of you. Even if it means planning for the future. You're taking care of that. You're planning. And you feel good doing that. You're playing a sport. That's a mindfulness technique. You're exercising. That's a mindfulness technique. You're focusing on your breathing. That's a mindfulness technique. You're doing yoga or Pilates or Tai Chi or Qigong. These are mindfulness techniques. Even cleaning can be a mindfulness technique. And why? It's because you're focusing on what you're doing. You're not creating this stress in your mind. And if you create this stress in your mind, you know, not only with, you know, making false stress, but not getting enough sleep and not exercising and not eating healthy whole food from nature that affects your brain chemicals so intimately, then your body feels like it has to have one eye open all the time. And if your body feels like it has to have one eye open, you know, metaphorically, all the time, then it's always worried about something and it's not able to take care of other things in simple. So how is it going to take care of digestion properly and support immune function? It doesn't have time for that. Or muscle growth or burning fat. It doesn't have time for that. It's worried about all this other stupid shit that you made up in your mind and you tricked it into believing you're in a stressful situation. And that's why being more stressed is a risk factor for like every disease, you know, and just having poor health. So that's what we got for you guys. Hell yeah. Who do we got on here? Let's say what's up. We gonna rock and roll, baby. Berlin Bad, what's up? Hell yeah, brother. Ma, I love you. Yeah, right? I am Nova, thank you. Isn't it very interesting? It's very fascinating. SR, GGRP, what's up? Liz, how you doing? Yeah, it is cool, right? Hell yeah. That's what I'm talking about, Ben. I love it. I had mine this morning. Yeah. Josh, you're hilarious, man. Antonio B. Ari, Mano Salva, Danny, C9. Ezekiel. S, what's up, baby? I appreciate you guys. Tropical. Lit Tyler. And Sabia. She's here, baby. Happy Saturday, girl. And as for now, you guys. So we got for you, folks. We'll see you tomorrow, baby. Not sure where, not sure when, but we'll see you then. Have an amazing day. Happy Saturday. Happy When Wellness. Don't be stressed. Go out and enjoy the day. Thanks.